Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 79 of Cute Little Love Letters, and this one is titled Save Us, See? You watched on with fear in your eyes, hands clasped tightly over your little mouth as Denki continued to spin, and then stopped spinning and started punching his arms out in front of him with thumbs up. Fearing that this fox Faerie had done something to him, you quickly flew back over to him and turned back into a human, dropping down beside Denki and grabbing onto his arm. "Way!" he warbled out, his eye twitching and a bit of snot dripping from his right nostril. "What have you done?" you suddenly yelled at the fox Faerie, who was still standing there watching. She obviously had no idea what had happened, but wanted to make it look like it was her doing to scare you. "Do you wish to end up the same as your precious human here?" she asked cruelly, adding a haunting laugh on the end as she postured up. You were torn between being worried for your own safety and trying to help Denki, but his condition worried you more, and you turned your attention back to him. "Denki," you said in a worried voice. "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Denki appeared to ignore you and kept punching his arms erratically, letting out strange noises as he went to move around, but you held on to him so that he couldn't wander off. "Make him stop," you begged the fox Faerie, believing that she had cast some kind of spell onto him. "Please don't do this to him. He's done nothing to you." The fox Faerie saw an opportunity and gave you a harrowing smile. "And what will you do for me if I make him stop?" she asked, her malicious grin deepening when she could feel that she had you in her grasps. You panicked, your panicked eyes switching from Denki to her and back to Denki again. This was so painful to watch. You hated seeing him like this, still believing that it was the witch who had made him do this, and also believing that his random noises were sounds of pain and anguish. I won't tell the queen where you are," you said to the fox Faerie. "You have my word. Now please take away the curse." "No, my dear, that will not do," the fox Faerie said with an even more malicious smile. "You must relinquish your life to me." "What?" you gasped, still trying to hold on to Denki so he wouldn't wander off, but his jerky movements were proving difficult to hold on to. "Or," she said with a cackle, "would you like to join your little friend in his state? I can arrange for that," she said, raising her hand in a bluff to pressure you into giving in quickly and agreeing to her terms. You didn't know what to do. You couldn't sign your life over to her, but you also didn't want to see Denki hurt more or be in a position where you couldn't help him. "No," you shouted at her. "You will do neither, but you will listen to me. As rightful royalty of the Citrine Fairies, I demand you lift your curse, or I'll punish you for your crimes." The fox Faerie stopped for a second. Never had she had anyone stand up for themselves before her like that. This was new. She looked at you. Although you were still in human form, she could see the royal glow around you as you stood there firmly on your word. "Ha!" she laughed. "You hold no such power over me, child. You will never catch me, and they will never catch me." "Saria!" you shouted. "Come now!" The fox Faerie paled slightly, and her raised hand faltered. She knew that name, and she knew who would come, but did this human child have such connections? How did she know that name? You were calling her bluff, obviously. You didn't know if Saria was around. You hadn't seen any butterflies or felt any presence, but you were hoping beyond hope that he would somehow magically appear and make this nightmare go away. There was a stalemate as the fox Faerie waited, but nothing happened. "It appears I must do away with you then. You are of no use to me. Maybe in your death I can find your father and have him do my bidding again. Have him beg for me to release you from hell, where you are going," she hissed, a purple haze ball starting to glow in the palm of her hand, growing in size as you stood there still trying to hold on to Denki, but shielding him as well. "Saria! Saria!" you shouted, still trying to use his name as a bluff. "No one's coming to save you," she shouted, and then let the haze ball go. You could see it coming straight for you and tried to get out of the way as well as move Denki, but something knocked you into you and you went sprawling onto the ground, covering Denki with your body as a sudden person entered the scene. Believing it to be one of the teachers or maybe a student, you were shocked and elated to see Saria standing in front of you, his bow and arrow raised up as he let an arrow fly, catching the fox Faerie in the leg. She quickly pulled her hands together, doing some kind of magic sign, and turned herself into an owl. "Oh, that old trick won't work this time, you see," Saria said as he clicked his fingers, and the arrow that he had shot into her leg turned into a lead weight, forcing the fox fairy to the ground while she desperately flapped her wings to get into the air. Not wanting to waste any time, Saria ran forwards and went to grab the shapeshifter, but she turned back into a human again and shrieked, throwing another ball of magic at him, but he dodged nimbly and grabbed her round the neck. "Time for you to sleep, see? Things will look better in the morning, see?" he said, compressing her carotid artery with his fingers while holding onto her. Then he forced her face down so that she couldn't use her hands to cast spells and leant his knee into her back to hold her there while she slowly slipped unconscious. "My princess, are you all right, see?" Saria called to you. "Don't be alarmed, see? I don't wish to kill her here, see? She must stand trial back home, see?" he said.
"I'm okay, Saria, but thank you for coming. Did you hear my call? How did you notify me?"
you asked, knowing that this hadn't been orchestrated at all from your end, but you were damn grateful that he had come. "I'd been tracking the fox Faerie, see, and I knew she'd found you, see. She'd been following you a bit, and that worried me, see. So I asked the Queen if I could come out here, see, and keep an eye on you, see. I'd been scouting around and I'd picked up her tracks, see, and then here's where I found you, see," he said, reaching into his pocket and pulling something out. "My fellow guard, Thillian, is around here too, see. I'll just call for him, see, so he can help me with this dreaded being, see. Can't be too careful, see." You nodded, feeling Denki's twitching under you subside slightly, and he groaned in a voice that was more like his own. Getting up off him, you rolled him over on the ground and peered into his face in the dark.
"Denki?"
you asked gently.
"Are you okay? Can you hear me?"
"Ian, he asked, still coming out of his short-circuited mode. "Are you okay? Where's the wolf?" he asked, his arm twitching a little. He looked up as a glowing butterfly flitted by, and then suddenly it turned into a large, human-looking fairy, and he sat up quickly, suddenly noticing that there was another human-sized fairy kneeling on a person on the ground. "Yin?" he said with concern. "You're here, Thillian, see?" Saria greeted the newcomer. "Saria, people, watching," Thillian said, glancing behind him to look at you and Denki. "Don't mind them, see," Saria said with a smirk. "Just help me with this devil, see?"
"Yen?"
Denki hissed at you.
"Who are they? Should we run? Are they going to hurt us?"
Thillian looked around at you both and shook his head. "Not hurt. We take this." He pointed to the witch on the ground. "Then go. You say no word to anyone." You nodded and Denki nodded too. His nod was out of fear from this giant ripped-looking being, and you nodded out of understanding. Saria knew that Thillian had no idea who you were and was keen to play a joke on him. "Thillian, you don't recognise the girl, see?" he asked his fellow guard as he took some rope from his back pocket and started tying the witch. Thillian looked at you and shook his head. "No," he said blandly. "Aye, but you do so love the royalty. I thought you would have recognised the Queen's granddaughter, see?" he said with a knowing smirk. "Oh, Saria, you little jokester, you little prankster. Stay tuned for chapter 80 coming tomorrow. I'll see you then."